Welcome to the Pave Podcast. Join us as we explore innovative biblical strategies and revolutionary tools to empower you to be a catalyst for church growth. Be inspired by church growth practitioners who are expanding God's kingdom in their communities and around the world. Now here's your host, Jonathan L. Smith.
Welcome to the Pave Podcast. My name is Jonathan Smith. I'm the Director of Church Health and Growth with Texas Baptist, the Baptist General Convention of Texas. The Pave Podcast is made possible by your gifts to the cooperative program and also your gifts to the Mary Hill Davis offering. In Pave, what we do is we help pastors find new paths for church growth. And I'm honored today to have my friend and colleague, Lee Williams III, joining me today. Lee, tell him what your role is at Texas Baptist.
I am the church starting strategist for Central Texas, and then also a church a coach.
Yeah, for Pave. Yeah. So one of the things I appreciate about you, every time I get to see you, not only do you have great glasses, but you're a shoe guy.
I am a shoe guy.
And where did that come from?
Honestly, I've always been a shoe guy because my mom was very particular about how we dressed growing up.
Okay.
And so we always dressed really, really nice.
Yeah.
We were matchy,
Yeah.
right? But after having kids and things, you're just going to get to buy shoes like you like.
Yeah.
And after I graduated a couple of them, I was like, you know what? Let's get back into the shoe game.
Back into the shoe business.
And I actually used shoes as a conversational starter.
Yeah.
My glasses and my shoes always attract attention.
Interesting.
Which leads me to be able to talk to people about Jesus.
Yeah. Well, we probably should have talked about your glasses because today we're going to talk about, look at that transition, we're going to talk about vision.
How do you do that?
I don't know, man.
You're
I don't know.
That dude.
Yeah. We're going to talk about, in the church, vision versus direction. Is it vision or is it direction? The reason this is an important topic is because so when I went to seminary many years ago, there was so much talk about vision, right? I remember from our professor being given here's how to go into your church and create a vision. And Lee, it was like 60, 70 pages of documents of what we were supposed to do. And I thought, who can do this?
Wow.
And as I've remained in ministry all these years, what I've discovered is vision is so misunderstood, so over-talked about, and it seems like no one really understands it. So today we want to have a little bit of a friendly debate. We'll see where we land at the end.
Okay.
Is it vision or is it direction? What do you see with your cool glasses on? What do you see as part of the problem talking about vision in the church?
Let me clean them, you know. Paul says we only know in part because we see in part.
Right.
But, one of the challenges for me, Jonathan, is the misconception of what vision is or should be, and then people who hang their hats on a vision statement that doesn't move people forward.
Okay.
Does not move the kingdom, does not advance the kingdom agenda. Right. And so I'm more of a direction person than I am a vision person.
Okay. So it sounds a little bit like you're saying vision sometimes too generic.
Too generic.
So give us an example of what that might be like.
Sesame Street Church.
Good old Sesame Street Church.
Sesame Street Church is a church that will be multicultural, multi-generational, evangelizing the nation with the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Okay. So what's wrong with that statement? I mean, it sounds biblical. It sounds good.
It sounds great.
Yeah.
But you can take Sesame Street Church off of there, and it can be any church.
Yeah, First Baptist, Third Baptist. It's too generic.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And because it's so generic, it's also not vision, because what you're saying that your church is going to do is exactly what it should be doing anyway, because of the Great Commission, Great Commandment. Because of the Acts 1:8, right? Evangelizing, growing, all of that.
Discipling, baptizing, teaching.
Baptizing. The multicultural, multi-generational piece is something every church could be if they did what they were supposed to do.
Right.
And so that's not vision. all of that is actually what the church should be doing anyway. So if we're going to produce vision, it should be something that's not already what every church should be doing. Your vision should be unique to the context of why you exist.
Yeah. We have visions in the Bible, right? Some are more dream related, i.e., I think about Isaiah chapter 6. I saw the Lord high and exalted, right? The whole book of Revelation is a vision.
Yes.
That lends itself to more of the like dreaming type, and to some degree, vision should be a dream, a preferred future. But we also have these other visions that are more directional. I'm going to give you an example and see if you can throw one back my way.
Okay.
So there's this land. It's filled with milk and honey, and you're going to eat from groves you didn't plant. You're gonna experience a time of peace and of rest. And so, to me, that's vision and direction combined. Can you think of some others in the scripture that are like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's one right there in Ezekiel.
Okay.
The vision is, I'm in the valley, all the bones are dry.
Right.
The direction is, the Lord says, prophesy to the bones, tell them to hear the word of the Lord, then prophesy them to get again,
Right.
to receive breath, and they'll become a great army, and I'll restore the house of Israel because of this.
Yep. Good. And another one is, and the Holy Spirit will come on you, and you will be my witnesses.
Absolutely.
Right? That was a vision, but also a direction. So maybe we're done with this podcast. I don't know. So we have all these examples, but look at how specific each one of those were, right? It's not that there is a land. Even God's words to Abraham, right? I mean, the promise of the promised land is traced way back to Abraham, that you're going to go to a place that I'm not going to show you or tell you.
Right.
And so who's going to follow that, right? But the Bible is filled with vision, but it seems like all of them have some sort of directional overtone to it as well. In other words, you'll get to the vision someday, but here's the first steps.
Absolutely.
What churches have to do is they have to embrace this reality that God may give us a vision, but He's going to call us to be faithful and to have courage to take that first step towards it.
Absolutely. As we're talking about biblical examples, again, leading towards me thinking that vision is more directional than it is commentary, right?
Right.
Noah. God tells him to build an ark and then gives him specific directions.
Very specific.
On how to do something that had never been done.
Yeah.
We don't know what an ark is.
Yeah, exactly.
The type of wood.
Yeah.
The animals. I mean,
everything.
The length.
Yeah.
The measurements.
Right.
And then he gave him direction for what to do after.
Right.
For the 40 days is over, right?
Yeah.
This is what you're going to do now.
Right.
And so again, even when we can't see what God is calling us to do in totality, there has to be some form of instruction. There's only so far influence is going to take you as a pastor.
Yep.
There has to be instruction.
So one problem with the idea of vision is that it's too generic. The other part that I see is it's just photocopy. Come on, let's be honest, you guys. It's been exposed the last 10 years or so in God's church that there's way too much plagiarism,
right,
in sermons. But the reality is, there's also plagiarism in what we call a vision statement. And if I'm about to say a couple of phrases, if this is your church's vision, please don't be offended. But just know that as one who travels the state of Texas and a little bit beyond, I see these things a lot. So here's a few generic visions, and photocopied more than likely.
Okay.
We believe you belong. See that in a lot of places. Knowing Christ and making Christ known. Nothing wrong with that idea, but again, it's generic, and probably 25% of the churches that I go to, that's what I see. One is just make disciples. Are we called to do that? Of course. But what we have to do in vision and direction is think about context. So help us think for a few minutes about the importance. Why is vision versus direction, like this debate we're having, why is the context so important for establishing the vision or direction of the church?
It's important Because it should always help you answer a question, right? One of the things we do in our church is we have a vision, and anytime someone says, we should do this or we should do that, or we're going to do this next, the question is raised, how does that align with our vision or our purpose?
Yeah, it tells us almost more than what we should be doing, it tells us what we should not be doing.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so what you see, Jonathan, is people who have had the same vision statement
Right.
for 3, 5, maybe even 30 years.
Right.
But you have not seen any progression or it hasn't evolved any.
They have not taken any steps.
No steps.
Yeah. In other words, it's a vision without any direction, without any next steps.
I got a buddy who says it like this. He says, you got to be careful with vision statements. They'll become like a stain on the wall. You got so used to seeing it, you don't even realize it's there anymore.
Right. No, that's good. Or it's so long that no one can remember it.
Real.
I walked into a incredible Christian school recently, someplace in the great state of Texas. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
And there was this vision statement on the wall, and I stopped and counted the words. It was 39 words.
Wow.
There's no way that your people can remember that.
Correct.
So the other problem with a vision statement is it just becomes this, as you said, this mantra that is on a wall or on a bulletin or on a website someplace, but not one that anybody can live out, right? When we go back to these examples in the scripture, right? Noah, build the ark. Here's a link. Abraham, he had instructions and knew what he was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
The children of Israel, even in their wandering, right? A cloud by day and a fire by night.
Right.
The Lord gave them those next steps. And too often, just this generic, photocopied, really long, not memorable, not contextualized vision is just a placeholder on the wall, as you said.
Absolutely. And the more it lacks direction, the more people become attached to the personality versus the purpose, right? So Joshua, for example.
Right.
And I know we didn't think we were going to have this many scriptures, but Moses, my servant, is dead. Joshua, this is what I want you to do.
Right.
Then Joshua goes to the leaders and says, this is what God said.
Right.
The leaders go to the congregation and say, this is what Joshua said, God said. We have to do it.
Yeah.
Right? But sometimes that vision, even though leadership has died or that time and season has passed, we get stuck on that and we don't realize there's a need for new vision,
Right.
or an evolved understanding of what our church should do next,
Right.
or can do next.
Can do next.
Yeah.
There are so many books out there in Christian, in the church arena, right? There are so many books for pastors about vision, and some great ones. There's so many books out there about vision. There are corporate books for corporations, companies,
Right,
business
right.
people. But it seems like there are very few who actually nail this idea of vision also having some direction embedded in it.
Correct.
So a pastor will call me and say, well, we need a new vision. Okay, and so we'll start talking about that. And often it's actually a mission. Can you kind of talk about that dynamic? How would we know the difference?
The vision should be the panoramic view of the assignment that your church is called
Man, that's
to.
a great phrase. Yeah.
I really believe that. This panoramic view of the assignment my church is called to do. The mission is how we accomplish that.
Okay.
How do we get to this that we see, that we feel called to in this context? And if we feel called to that, here's the mission of how we get to that.
The mission is global.
It's very global.
In fact, the mission statement of the church, and we'll have a different podcast about that, but the mission statement of the church should almost be reproducible for any church in the world.
Right.
But the vision has got to be more specific, contextualized to what is happening in the community and or the world that this church is called to reach.
Right. And so you have Will Mancini's Church Unique.
Yeah.
And then Church Unique goes into God Dreams.
Right.
There's this whole space on vision, right?
Right.
And really it takes a while to learn how to do that. But it helps you to narrow down your vision all the way to what your church does really, really well.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so that we can say yes to the best and
Right.
yes to our church's specific calling to this community for this time, for this day, under these leaders.
Right.
But what happens a lot of times is, we were talking about this beforehand, a church will have a vision and it lasts for 30 years.
Correct.
And no one ever changes it. And it becomes it's just white noise. It's just white noise.
Yeah.
So how long should a vision / direction, how long should it last?
I think it has a shelf life of 3 years.
Okay.
I believe that a vision has a shelf life of 3 years before it needs to be tended to again.
All right.
It's not something we can hang on the wall and walk away from. It's something that has to be nurtured, because the vision, as your people mature, as your church grows, as things evolve and change in culture, that statement has to as well.
Sure, because the needs of the community can shift quickly. I'm thinking about a church I've been working with, and they had a strong vision, and then 9 months later, after they launched it, they had a hurricane. Well,
Right.
guess what? They had to adapt. They had to practice adaptive leadership, which is talked about a lot in the book "Canoeing the Mountains" by Bolsinger. Great book, by the way.
Yes.
Even if you just read chapter 6, that would you'd glean enough, and that'd be great. But the whole thing is fantastic. So churches don't adapt, though. Churches tend to say, "This is what we're doing," before they even test it.
Right.
Then they live in it for years and years and years, and over time they're like, well, what about this vision? It just becomes either stale or forgotten.
Absolutely.
So you say 3 years until it has to be revisited. In other words, it probably needs to be tweaked, reconsidered, or thrown out altogether
Right.
and starting over, because people, it's like the pastor who says, I'll never forget being at a seminar once. He was teaching us, and he said, I am bent on preaching the whole counsel of God, which I totally agree with that, right?
Yeah.
Like we have to preach from different genres. There's 8 different genres in the Bible. We have to preach from each one. And then someone raised their hand and said, well, what have you been preaching recently? And he said, well, I've been preaching from Isaiah for the last 6 years. 6 years.
Whoa.
And then I thought to myself, how is that preaching the whole counsel of God, right? So churches tend to kind of get that same mode with vision. They get stuck in doing the same thing, which is why we need to, every about 3 years, 5 years, we need to reconsider, make adjustments, or scrap it altogether and start over, asking what's the need now.
And here's the thing. There's another book. I can't think of the author's name, but Managing Transitions.
Okay.
Great read. And the author talks about in Managing Transitions how even you have to help people when shifting through cultural changes, corporate changes, whatever it is, right? To grieve, but keep going at the same time.
That's right. Yep.
Right? They're going to grieve a season that
Sure.
this is no longer that anymore.
Yep.
Or we're no longer that anymore.
Right.
Like our golden era is gone.
Yeah.
Some of the greatest workers have passed on. Some of our leaders are moved away.
Sure.
Whatever the case may be. So how do we make that adjustment is the question. But not so much how do we make that adjustment, but just understanding that the adjustment has to be made.
Right.
And a church that doesn't change has to close.
Oh, that's right. That's what Rayner says all the time, right?
Yeah.
Change or die. And so there's so much truth in that. So let's kind of get down to the nitty gritty. In creating a church vision or direction, as we're kind of arguing a little bit back and forth statement, for me, the reason that vision has become this nebulous idea is because vision has become a sentence on a wall when vision should be visual. It should be something that people can see, they can understand. That's why Will Mancini, we've mentioned him several times, his kind of groundbreaking book called God Dreams, he teaches in there to not start with a sentence, but to begin with a picture. And so as one who uses some of those tools in some consulting, we always help churches first kind of draw a picture of the future and then come back with some sentencing.
Right.
But the reason it's also directional is it has to include some next steps. Over the next 3 years, we are called to, and so that's when you're going to name a people, you're going to name a number of people, you're going to name a community, and you're going to name some outcomes. Does that track?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Some of the ingredients that you're naming
Right.
Also include knowing what does the world look like if we do this?
Yeah, yeah.
What does it look like if we don't do this? You know, what should a person, a people group, an area, what should it look like if we accomplish this?
So vision is showing people that preferred future that God is calling us to. But it's kind of like hiking, right? We know on the other side of the mountain, there's myself and a couple of pastor buddies. Hey, Tim and Steve, hope you guys are doing well. When we were finishing our dissertations, we went hiking together. And we had done some research on where we wanted to go in Colorado, what we wanted to see. We even looked at some pictures. But that was a vision. If we don't take these hard steps, we walked 18,000 steps in one day. No, it was more than that. I'm sorry. We went 18 miles in one day. It was like 45,000 steps. So a little bit too much. But anyways, I digress. If we hadn't continued to follow the arduous pathway, we would not have had the glory of seeing with our own eyes what we had first seen as a picture. To me, that's the combination between vision and direction. We show them the preferred future, but we also show them these are the steps we'll have to take along the pathway.
You might have just got my vote.
Come on. Am I going to win?
You might.
You can push back against it. Push back a little bit.
I want to push back.
Come on, push it.
But here's what I just heard. From that analogy, here's what I just heard. It has to become a compass and not just a conversation.
That's great.
Right. And so then it's not either or.
Yeah. It's not either or.
Parenthetically, it might not be either or. I don't want to make you right, but I'm almost persuaded, in the words.
Well, as a good friend of mine used to say, in my humble but correct opinion,
it doesn't have to be either or.
That's right.
It's a combination of both. So the compass versus a conversation. That's what makes this thing not a statement or a staple we hang our hats on, right? It's the life of everything we do. It's the fuel that drives why we do what we do.
And it gives us the vehicle to say, hey, that idea you brought is interesting, but it doesn't help us reach our ultimate goal, nor does it help us take any steps towards it.
Right.
You can say no to a lot of things. Part of the problem in the overprogrammed church is that the church has just become this buffet, and we want to offer all these things. But now we're saying no. We're one of the vision statements that I created once was about disciplication.
Disciplication.
Yeah, we created a new word. We went full Greek on it. Like in the Greek language, a lot of times they just put two nouns together.
Yeah.
So the idea was discipleship and multiplication. So we talked about disciplication. We're like, look, if this doesn't disciplicate someone, having a concert outside on our property might sound like a nice idea, but who are we going to disciplicate?
Right.
And that became our hashtag. Was our church was about disciplication, right?
Wow.
That was our internal messaging, if you will. And so having a clear vision, this is the mountain we're going to take. These are the steps that we need to take to get there, is incredibly helpful to finally, as a church, say, no, we're going to say no to 80% of these things that we could do that might be good.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to say yes to only 20% that's going to help us reach the plan, the vision that God has given to us.
And here's the thing. If you do vision correctly, if you present it and position it correctly, you won't become an event-driven ministry or church.
Right.
Where you're depending on every event to drive the purpose.
Just living from event to event. Yeah.
Burning yourself out, your resources, and your volunteers.
Yeah, burning your people out. Yeah.
The Bible says, where there is no vision.
There you go.
not where there isn't a concert
Right.
or
Yeah.
fall festival or anything
And all those things
like
could be
that.
great.
Right.
If that's the vision of your church,
Right.
then use it. Do it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the vision is where people lack of it.
Yeah.
Understanding it, the knowledge of it.
Right.
All of that.
So I'm not sure if any one of us won the debate, but I think we're both even more convinced that vision is necessary and direction is necessary. So maybe it's not, is it vision or direction? Maybe it's both.
Yes.
Maybe it's both. And with that, we'll call it a duel. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay.
Paper, rock, scissors.
There you go. There you go. So, hey, just as a final step, we want to let you know at Texas Baptist, under the Center for Church Health, which is where I, as a director of Church Health and Growth, I work underneath the Center for Church Health. We have more than 25 certified pastors, director of missions, some retired pastors who are certified to help churches develop vision and direction. So that is a resource that's not tapped into as much as it should be in Texas Baptist Life. So if you're listening today
Yes.
and you're ready to take those next steps towards vision and direction, I want to call you to do this. Contact us at txb.org/pave. And there is a general form you can fill out there at txb.org/pave, and we can help you figure out exactly what it is that you need to do and get you connected with one of these 25 consultants who can guide you. Now, before we're done today, we have to bring out what we call the Pave collision wheel, because we want to get to know you a little bit more, and we want you to not know exactly what's going to happen. So here's our wheel.
That's our wheel right here.
You're going to spin the wheel, and you're going to have to answer a difficult question. So ready? Give it a hard spin.
All
Here
right,
we go.
Here we go. Oh, no.
It landed in between. Do it again.
One more. Oh.
You landed on pet peeve, which we already did that on a different podcast. All right, let's try it again.
One
Good
more.
grief, this is ridiculous. Ministry. What's one ministry that you could do every single day for the rest of your life and still love it?
Encouraging pastors.
Okay. Encouraging pastors. What does that look like for you?
Looks like spending time, building relationship, becoming a safe place for vulnerability.
Yeah.
And we're living in a time where we're seeing more pastors quit
Right.
or die early because of the stressors of ministry.
Yeah.
And so I wake up daily and ask the Lord to put somebody in my pathway that I'm able to encourage to keep going. It feels lonely out here sometimes.
It does. You survived the Pave collision on that circle. There's a couple of really tough questions, and you got a layup. So congratulations. That worked out in your favor.
I needed some kind of win. We just tied on our debate.
Well, pastors, thanks for listening to the Pave Podcast. You can learn more about the ministries at Texas Baptist by going to our website, txb.org. That's TXB, like Texas Baptist, txb.org. You can find about all of our ministries, all of our resources. They are vast, all of our centers, all of our ministries for you and for your churches. You can find more information about Pave by going to txb.org/pave. Lee Williams, thanks for your time today. I hope that, before too long, I'll see you with a new pair of glasses and a new pair of shoes.
Thanks for having me, Jonathan.
Take care.